How to overcome every single objection when you get on a sales call so you can collect more paid in full on the phone in cash. Now, let me be super clear. The best time to overcome an objection is before it comes up. There's three main objections that you're ever gonna get: time, money, and spouse. You're also gonna get, I need to think about it, but this is just a smoke screen for one of the other three objections. How do you overcome the money objection before it comes up? Ideally, you're asking them questions about their budget to get a feel for where they're currently at in terms of their spending habits. So Nick, you mentioned to me that you've been struggling with this for the last 6 years. Out of curiosity, how much have you invested to try to solve this problem? Like, have you ever done any other coaching or mentorships or courses? Asking this question is gonna make you aware of how much they've already invested in other mentorships or programs. You also wanna be super aware if the prospect ever brings up the price on the phone. If the prospect keeps bringing up price on the phone or budget on the phone, that is a potential red flag that there is gonna be a money objection later. If they do ask you how much it costs, you're gonna say, yeah, that makes sense. I do have programs that fit all budgets. So what I wanna do is I basically wanna ask you a few clarifying questions just to make sure that I can even help you or not. And if I can help you, then I'll run you through all the potential options that we could use to work together. Does that sound good? Now, if the prospect mentions that they have a spouse or that they have a significant other on the call, what you wanna do is you wanna overcome that objection before it comes up. And here's exactly how you do that. Oh, that's amazing. So you mentioned that you've got your spouse as well. Does your spouse know that we're speaking today, Nick? She does? Oh, that's amazing. And typically speaking, like, would you say that your spouse is supportive of your goals? Like, obviously she wants you to, be successful and solve XYZ problem. Asking this question is gonna get their emotional buy-in that their spouse is supportive of their goals. So if they do bring up the spouse objection later, we will be able to handle it more effectively. Now, time is the other main objection that you're gonna get on the call. And the way that you're gonna overcome the time objection is by asking the why now, why me questions. So Nick, you said you've been struggling with this for 2 years, brother. And first thing is, like, that's a really long time to be struggling with this. So I'm just curious, like, what made you reach out for a solution to this problem now? And like, why is this a priority for you right now? Asking these questions will create the right amount of internal pressure in the prospect, and they will feel motivated to take action for their own reasons when you ask the right questions and make them feel a certain emotion. Let's talk about the objection, I need to think about it. There's always a reason underneath that objection. I need to think about it is basically a smokescreen. It's also an indication that you didn't do your job properly on the sales call, because when you get to the end of the call, if the prospect says that I need to think about it, you either didn't give them the right information, you talked way too much, or you didn't pay attention to their goals, their problems, and what they actually need. Because the only reason they need to think about it is because they don't have enough information in front of them to be able to make a clear and calculated decision. So what we need to do is we need to ask them about the information that they need. Nick, I appreciate that. Thank you so much for being honest with me. So just so I'm super clear, what exactly is it that you need to think about? You want to ask this question in almost like a polite and kind of curious tone. Now, typically speaking, the prospect will be like, oh, it's just outside of my budget, or, it's just a big decision or whatever. We're just going to pretend that they actually don't give you an objection. If they don't tell you exactly what they need to think about, you're going to make some suggestions. Well, typically speaking, Nick, when I get on these calls, it's usually, it's the timing, or it's the budget, or, they need to speak to their spouse. Like, which one of those is that for you? Now the prospect is going to open up and let you know which one of their main objections they actually have. Once we clarify their main objection, we can actually work at overcoming it. But again, I need to think about it is not a real objection. It's just a smoke screen. You need to ask clarifying questions to get beneath that objection. Now let's pretend it's a big decision, right? Because sometimes the reason the prospect needs to think about it is a big decision. So you're going to go, so that makes sense, Nick. And, thanks so much for being honest with me. So just to be super clear, big decision aside, do you feel like this program is exactly what you're looking for? Like, do you feel like it's going to be able to help you, solve the problem that you're currently in and help you get to XYZ desired result? Okay, perfect. Now, Nick, is there anything about the program specifically that you don't like? Or do you really do feel like it's going to be able to help you, get the specific result that you're looking for and get to your specific goals and specific timeline? Now, when you ask this question, if there's anything about the program that the prospect does not like, they're gonna make you aware of that, and then you can overcome that objection. You can clarify how this is actually gonna be beneficial for them and what they actually need, and then get their commitment, and you can work at overcoming that objection. However, most often the prospect's gonna say something like, well, yeah, like it does feel like everything I need, and it does sound like everything that I want. It's just a really big decision. Listen, Nick, I appreciate you. And I just want to say thanks so much for hopping on this call today. Thanks so much for being real with me. You actually remind me of my client, John. John also felt like the exact same thing. He felt like it was a big decision, that it was a big investment for him to be able to move forward. And John's actually been in the program now for 16 weeks. He's down 25 pounds. He's in the best shape of his life. And he just recently told me that he actually has the energy to play with his kids for the first time in 5 years. So, let me ask you a question, Nick. If we were able to, let's say, help you lose that 20 pounds that you said that you wanted to lose, and you actually were able to feel the best you've ever felt in your life, and you went and looked in the mirror and you were able to see your six pack like you said you've always wanted, do you feel like that investment would be worth it? Obviously, the prospect is going to say yes to that. Well, listen, Nick, I know it's a big decision, and let me remove some of the risk for you, all right? Like I want to meet you where you're at, and I don't want you to feel like you're about to jump into something where you don't have a mentor that has your back. So Nick, if you make the decision to join today and we work together for the next 6 months, and I don't help you lose that 20 pounds, get into the best shape of your life so you can finally see your six pack, I'll send you a full refund on every single dollar that you paid. You know, the worst case scenario is that I suck and you don't actually get the results that you paid for. But the best case scenario is that you actually do lose that 20 pounds and you do get in the best shape of your life and you do feel the most confident you've ever felt. And then, you know, in 6 months time from now, you send me a video telling me that you're so glad that we had this conversation, that I helped you change your life on that day because you finally feel confident looking in the mirror. How does that sound? Sounds pretty good, son. This is called a conditional money back guarantee. And essentially what that looks like is you're guaranteeing that the prospect is going to get the result in the timeline that they work with you, as long as they complete their check-ins, their meal plans, and they stay accountable. And again, if they do all those things and they don't get the result, then you suck at coaching and you shouldn't be a coach. So they deserve a refund. But out of the last 1,500 people that I've offered that guarantee to, there's only been one person that actually completed all the action items that I gave them. And then I did offer a refund because I didn't fulfill my promise. So the amount of times that you're actually going to have to offer that refund is very small, because when students do the work, they get the result. Okay, so that's how you overcome the I need to think about it objection and the big decision objection that might come with the I need to think about it objection. Let's talk about the framework that you need to use to overcome any and all objections. All right, this is the framework that you need to use no matter what the objection. No matter what, when you're overcoming objections, you need to isolate the objection. I'm going to teach you exactly how to do that. Whether they say, I need to talk with my wife, I need to check the budget, it's not the right time, I need to start next week, I need to floss my cat, whatever. Okay, that makes sense, Nick. So just to be super clear, objection aside, does this program sound like everything you're looking for? Okay, perfect, Nick. And now, is there anything about the program that you don't like, that you don't think would benefit you, or you really do feel like the program is going to be able to help you get specific result that you're looking for in the specific time frame that you're looking for it? Now, these two questions are going to push the prospect to do one of two things. Number one, they're going to reveal their main objection and why actually they're not moving forward. Or number two, they're going to clarify that this program is exactly what they need. It's just that we need to overcome this specific objection. If it's just that we need to overcome this specific objection, we're going to go to that specific objection. But if there's anything about the program that the prospect doesn't like, then we're going to clarify exactly what they're looking for in the program. And then we're going to remind them that we actually do have that feature or that benefit. If the prospect says, no, this program does sound amazing, I just need to overcome this specific objection, then we're just going to move to that specific objection. So let's talk about the budget objection, the money objection, etc. No, the program does sound amazing, Brian. I'm just going to have to check my budget. Okay, perfect. So Nick, just to be super clear, you're mentioning that the $5,000 for 6 months is a little bit too much. Is that correct? They're going to say yes. Okay, and now, is it that you don't have a credit card you can put on? Is it savings, or is it something else? We want to ask this question because we want to get them to start thinking resourcefully. If they say they do have a credit card they could put it on, or savings or something else, we're going to move to this. I love it, Nick. And listen, my job on this call is basically to coach you because I want you to lose 20 pounds and get into the best shape of your life. We do this because we want them to get into results-based thinking instead of cost-based thinking. So Nick, at the end of the 6 months working together, if all we did was help you lose that 20 pounds, get into the best shape of your life so you look and felt the best you've ever felt, would that investment be worth it? Now, the prospect is obviously going to say yes to this, and then we're going to get a tie down. So just to be super clear, you're 100% confident we can help you lose the 20 pounds, and you do know that the investment will be worth it. Is that correct? Yes, it's going to be correct. Okay, perfect. It sounds like you're ready to get started. Would you prefer to do the paid in full option and save some money, or would you rather do the monthly? We're just going to move on, and we're going to go for the close. Now, if they don't say they have a credit card or a savings that they can put it on or something else, we're going to move to this. All right. Well, listen, Nick, I'll tell you what. Why don't we do this? We'll do $1,000 a month. And, first things first, that's going to be a lot easier on the wallet. And we're going to make sure that we get you down 20 pounds in the 6 months that we're working together. And we're going to be able to start seeing progress right away. And I'm so confident that you're going to be able to get the result in my coaching program, that if you make the investment, you follow all the workouts, you follow the meal plan, you follow the training plan, you do all the check-ins, I'm 100% confident that at the end of 6 months, you'll be down the 20 pounds that I suggested on this call. And if you're not, I will send you a full refund of every single dollar that you paid. How does that sound? Sounds good, son. Collect some cash. Let's talk about the spouse objection. Now, in my opinion, overcoming the spouse objection on the phone without the wife there has been a recipe for buyer's remorse. So I prefer not to do it, to be completely transparent. That being said, I do not try to I'm going to still try to overcome the objection on the call. But typically speaking, if the prospect needs to speak to their spouse, you're able to close them on the call because you've got a really good talking track. And then they go talk to their spouse and their spouse is like, F you. Then that's usually a recipe for buyer's remorse and usually a recipe for refund. So here's how I handle it. So first things first, we're going to isolate their objection the way that we isolate their objection. So just to be super clear, wife aside, do you feel like this program is going to help you out? Is there anything about the program that you don't like, or is it just that you need to speak with your spouse? You're 100% confident we can help you get to XYZ results. So that's like isolating the objection. So after you isolate their objection, now, Nick, I totally understand that you need to speak with your partner. And I also have a spouse I run decisions by too. And if I make a decision without her, I go click, click, bang, bang. Does your spouse know that we're speaking today, Nick? Okay, perfect. And typically speaking, are they supportive of your goals? Like obviously they want you to win and they want you to be successful. Now, this is going to help the prospect realize that the spouse is indeed on board and does want to help them win. So I'll tell you what, Nick, I totally get that. My spouse is usually on board for decisions like this too. So I've been on hundreds of these calls, Nick, and typically speaking, I know for a fact that if you get off this call and you don't take any sort of action, the likelihood that you come back and start getting down 20 pounds and start moving forward on your fitness goals is literally 1 in 10. So I want you to go talk to your spouse because frankly, I make decisions with my spouse as well. But let's do this. Let's go talk to your spouse. Let's get down a $100 deposit as a representation of your commitment to your own goals. That way you can go talk to your spouse, have a conversation with her about the coaching program, make sure it makes sense. And if she comes back and she's like, let's go, we can go all in. If she comes back and she's like, honestly, that's not a good move, no problem whatsoever. I'll send you a full refund, no questions asked. How does that sound? Now, the reason I like to do this is I try to get a micro commitment on the call. I'm getting them to commit to them and their own goals. If you can get a deposit on that call, the likelihood of you being able to convert them on the second call goes up significantly. It's a marketing fundamental that if somebody gives you $1, they're 7 times more likely to give you the second dollar. So if you can get them to give you $1 on the phone, even if it's a refundable deposit, the chances of that person coming back and converting is significantly higher. Now, once you've collected the cash for the $100 deposit, the next step is to book a follow-up call. The way that you'll do that is this. All right, Nick, perfect. So got the deposit. Thank you so much. Now, out of curiosity, when does your spouse get home? Okay, perfect. So you said around 6 p.m.? Yep, that's awesome. So how about we do a follow-up call at 6:30? That gives you an opportunity to speak with your spouse to make sure that she's on board. And then once you have that conversation with her, we can revisit this conversation and see if we can move forward or if it's not the right time. Is that fair? Perfect. Once you book the follow-up call, you want to re-cement their commitment to their own goals. So thanks for taking the time today, Nick. I'm really confident that we can help you lose those 20 pounds. I'm really confident that in 6 months' time from now, you're going to look in the mirror and you're going to realize this was the best decision that you've ever made. Is there any follow-up questions you had for me about the program or your fitness journey in general? Because I would love to be of service for you while I'm here. You just want to make sure that when you leave that call, you leave it with a higher energy than when the call started, so that when the prospect gets off the phone, the last thing that they remember from you is the good experience that you gave them while they were ending the call. Let's talk about the I want to start later objection. Typically speaking, if you get this objection, it means that you did not do a good enough job at creating urgency on the call. Why now? Why me? Why is this important right now? And why did you choose me to solve this problem? So step number 1, you're always going to isolate their objection. Perfect. So thanks, Nick, for clarifying that for me. So I'm just curious, what is it that makes you want to start at a later date? 80% of the time, the reason they want to start at a later date is because it's their budget, right? They want to be able to have the finances to be able to afford it in full. Okay, perfect. That makes sense. Now, is it that you don't have a credit card you can put it on? Is it savings or is it something else? At this point, if the prospect realizes they have a credit card or savings that they can put it on, boom, we're in the money. There's also certain times where the prospect doesn't have a credit card or savings that they can put it on. There's also times where the prospect actually does have the money to be able to afford it, but they're going away or they're going on a vacation or they want to start at a later date because they have other commitments. In this case, you must close on the call. If you don't close on the call, the chances of that prospect coming back and closing on a later date is significantly lower. And I'm talking about significantly. Write this down and remember this. Buyers are liars. And just because they're saying yes to you in the moment does not mean that they are financially committed to the future. The only way to secure a financial commitment to the future is to collect some sort of cash on the phone. Unless you collect the cash on the phone, there is not a closed deal, period. So here's how you would handle that if they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna start after my vacation. All right, Nick, thank you so much for being honest with me. And I totally get that you're going on vacation, that you wanna be fully focused when you get started. Do you mind if I'm transparent? Can I be transparent with you, Nick? I've been on hundreds of these calls, and I know for a fact that if you hang up this phone without taking any sort of action, the likelihood that you commit to your goals literally goes down to a 1 in 10. And I know that your goal is to lose the 20 pounds and get into the best shape of your life, and I don't want that for you. So you like the program, I like you like me, hopefully, and you know for a fact that this is gonna work, so why don't we do this? We can start at a later date. Let's start at July 1st, but let's get that investment taken care of today. That way we can remove all the logistics for when you get back from your vacation on July 1st, and we can start and hit the ground running right away. I'll send you the questionnaire so that you can fill it out in your own time, and then by the time you get back on July 1st, we'll start right away and we'll just get right into momentum. How does that sound? We wanna collect the cash on the phone so we can get them to start at a later date. So the way that we're gonna overcome that objection is we're going to agree, yeah, it totally makes sense that you wanna start at a later date. I completely resonate with that. I'm on board with that. And I've been on hundreds of these calls, and most of the time when I get in these calls and prospects say they're gonna start at a later date, what ends up happening is they never end up getting back to me, and then they're stuck in the same place. I don't want that for you because I care about you. So why don't we do this? You can start at a later date. Let's get the investment secured today. That way, by the time you actually do get back on July 1st, we're ready to hit the ground running. I can send you some resources for free to help you get started right away, and then we can just get off into momentum. How does that sound? Boom, that sounds like a sale, son. Now, if the prospect says, I don't have it in my budget to start right away, but I will start on July 1st, then you need to get some sort of financial commitment from them because, again, buyers are liars. If they hang up the phone without giving you any cash, they ain't coming back. All right, Nick, so listen, that makes sense. And my goal is to help you lose the weight. That's why I'm here, all right? So I'm super committed to you losing 20 pounds, and I know for a fact that we can make that happen. I've also been on hundreds of these calls, Nick, and I know that if you hang up without taking any action, the chances of you going and getting absolutely no results and staying in the same place is significantly higher. So let's do this. Let's get started next week like you suggested. Let's get a $100 deposit down right now to secure your spot in the program. This is just to show me that you're actually committed to your own goals, and we can get started with the full program next week. In the meantime, I can send you the questionnaire and we can at least get the process rolling. How does that sound? That is how you overcome objections on sales calls. There's going to be instances where you cannot close on the phone no matter what the you do, all right? Sales is not a 100% close game. I wish it was. If it was, I'd be rich as That being said, if you cannot close on the call, always remember this. Book the follow-up call on the call. That is the rule of sales. Book the follow-up call on the call. So you just want to lean out. If you try to overcome their objection, you work through all this stuff and there's a lot of pressure, just want to lean out. Nick, I totally understand. Yeah, and I get it. My goal is to help you make the best possible decision for yourself because I want to transform your life. So you mentioned that you need to speak to your wife. How long do you need to speak with your wife to make sure that this is a good decision for you? Okay, 24 hours, perfect. So why don't we book a follow-up call for tomorrow at the exact same time? I'll send you some information about the coaching program so you can go over it with your wife, because I'm sure if you just try to relay the information that we just went over on this call, that it's going to be hard to remember everything we talked about. So I'll send you a document that you can take a look over with your wife. It's going to include some transformations of some of the clients that I've worked with in the program so you can actually verify that they're real humans. And then tomorrow we can have a conversation about whether or not this is a good fit, and we can take it from there. How does that sound? Perfect. Now, Nick, this is important. Is there any other questions that you have for me while I'm here, or any other value that I can provide for you in the meantime? If you do have specific resources around the things that they're struggling with, you would want to send that to them before the follow-up call. So if the prospect mentioned that they struggle with a specific thing and you have a YouTube video that you did about that specific thing, you should probably send that to them. If the prospect mentioned that they struggle with XYZ diet and you have a free guide that helps with XYZ diet, you should probably send that to them. Give the prospect as much information and consumables as you possibly can before their next call, so the chances of them converting go up significantly. Another thing you can do is send them some transformations of clients that have had a similar experience as them. Like if you're working with moms, send them some other transformations of busy moms that have gone through your program and lost the weight and seen massive success, right? So give them as much information before the follow-up call takes place so that the chances of them showing up for that follow-up call and converting on that follow-up call is significant. Now I'm gonna give you one last piece of sauce because I'm a G and I care about you. Once you book that follow-up call and you hang up the call, it's booked in for the next day, I want you to send them a personalized voice note, and I wanted to say something like this. So Nick, I just want to say thanks so much for taking the time to book in for the call today. I'm super excited about helping you transform your life. On the call, we basically talked about the fact that you've been struggling with losing weight for the last 5 years, and that you've tried every single diet underneath the sun, and that you basically are looking for a permanent solution to your problem. I know that you want to get into flexible dieting, which is obviously what you see my clients do. And the reason that you reach out to me is because you've seen all the amazing client transformations and you believe that you could be one of those transformations yourself. So I'm super pumped for our follow-up call tomorrow. On the call tomorrow, we're basically going to run through everything we talked about on the call today and decide whether or not it's a good fit for you. And I'm 100% confident that we can help you lose the weight that we said you wanted to lose. So let me know if you need anything before the call tomorrow. I'm super excited, brother, and I hope you have the best day of your entire life. Boom! Come on. So on that call, basically, I'm going to give you the framework for that voice note. You're going to recap everything you talked about on the call. You're going to remind them of their desires. You're going to remind them of their pain points. And then you're going to let them know that you're 100% confident that they're going to achieve their goals. That's the framework for the voice note. It should be 30 to 60 seconds max. Guys, and that's it. All right, that's how you overcome objections on the call. Once you overcome objections, the last piece of the puzzle is collecting the cash. And so once they're like, yes, I'm in, we're like, perfect. This is how you collect the cash. Perfect, Nick, I love it. So I'm sending you a text. Can you see that? All right, Nick, so go ahead and get that taken care of for me right now while we're on the phone. And then once you're all done, I'm just gonna walk you through the onboarding and walk you through the next steps, cool? They're gonna say, do I have to take care of it right now? And you're gonna be like, yep, it only takes 2 seconds, and then it just makes it easier for me to onboard you because then I don't have to answer questions back and forth in the DMs. I can just take care of it right away, cool? And then shut the hell up. One of the things I used to do is I used to mute myself after I said that because I just let the prospect pay. Let them go through the awkwardness, try not to talk as much, let them process the payment. If you feel like you need to talk and chat them through it, that's fine, but you don't want to talk yourself out of the sale. So I'll let the prospect pay. Once the prospect pays, I'll onboard the prospect, and just like that, I closed a client. Guys, if this series has been valuable for you, please leave a comment and let me know. You know, the best way that you guys can compliment me is by sharing this YouTube channel with other people. I feel like I'm the best kept secret on YouTube, you know? This is the most valuable YouTube on the planet. My goal is to be the #1 business coach for online fitness coaches on the market. And frankly, I just want to be the best business coach, period. And so if I can provide value for you and I can give you value, the best compliment that you could give is liking, commenting, sharing the channel with your friends, and just like letting me know, leaving me positive reviews in the comments. All right, so peace, love, and protein. Have the best of your entire life. Talk to you soon. Let's go. Wait, and if you're interested in working with me and my team to help you grow your fitness business, tap the button in the comments of this video to book in for a call. Peace.